Dark tea is a kind of post-fermented tea that is made by pile fermentation. Because of its dark brown color, it's called dark tea. Most dark teas are compressed hard and packed in brick or cake styles, which obviously show stems and stalks. Most dark tea water is also dark, such as reddish yellow, with luster and unique taste.
It tastes like silk. Very smooth.
Dark tea is compressed tea. When brewing it, firstly we need to prise the tea brick and divide it into small pieces.
We divide it into small pieces so that it's easier to put tea into pot and then brew tea. It also helps us to gain more benefits of tea and better color of tea water.
To brew dark tea needs boiling water of 100 degrees Celsius to. Usually, do not drink the first brew of dark tea, which is for washing off impurities from tea. In the next brew, water should be injected along the edge of pot to avoid flushing the tea pile and producing foam, so that the tea water is clear and silky. In addition to brewing, dark tea can also be boiled. Pry dark tea and put small pieces of tea into a filter bag. Put the bag into boiling water and cook it for 2 to 3 minutes. Then cover the teapot and brew the tea for 5 minutes, during which the tea water gradually darkens.
When the tea water turns to amber, the color. When we brew the tea and tea water's color turns to amber, we can invite our guests to enjoy it.
The origin of the dark tea is legendary. People in the western regions have been accustomed to drink tea since the Han Dynasty and Tang Dynasty. At that time, people transported tea to remote areas with camels, mules, and horses. The transportation was extremely slow. Green tea compressed into cakes were fermented in wind, rain, and sunshine in the long transportation journey.
The tea is fermented in processing and it continues to be fermented in storage.
Tea cakes transported from the south to the remote areas became dark and hard. Tea merchants had no choice but to sell them at a low price. Unexpectedly, such tea was very popular in these areas.
People there eating a lot of meat would feel comfortable when drinking tea because tea helps to digest greasy food. Thus they gradually were accustomed to take tea.
Since then, a wonderful taste has been born on the ancient tea horse road, which has also formed the characteristics of post-fermentation, of dark tea and tea compression procedure for convenient transportation. There are many kinds of dark tea, including Anhua dark tea, Jingyang fu tea and Yunnan pu'er ripe tea. How to make the legendary dark tea. Anhua County of Yiyang City, Hunan Province, is the starting point of Hunan Ancient Tea Horse Road and the hometown of Anhua dark tea. Yiyang County is located at the north foot of the Xiefeng Mountains and in the middle reaches of Zishui River. Since the Song Dynasty, tea trees in Yiyang have been growing on cliffs and beside waters by themselves. More than 80% of the moraine rocks in the world are in Anhua, which makes unrepeatable environment and soil conditions for the growth of tea and consequently makes Anhua dark tea ranks the top group in all dark tea.
After hundreds of millions of years of evolution, the mud layer on the sea floor has become rocks. Therefore, the weathered soil of moraine is rich in minerals and trace elements, which is very beneficial to the growth of tea trees.
After the beginning of summer, dark tea plucking season begins. The local folk proverb in Anhua says, "Leaves can pack salt, and stalks can move boats as poles." It suggests that dark tea leaves are large enough to pack salt, and tea stalks are thick enough to raw boats as exaggerations. However, it also shows how tough dark tea leaves and stalks are.
Usually we pluck one bud with 6 or 7 leaves. These leaves are larger and tougher, but are also more nutritious.
The thick and tough leaves are rich in wood fibers, tea polysaccharides, and tea pigments, which are very beneficial to health. This is also the key facts for drinking dark tea to relieve greasy and supplement vitamins. Because of the thick and strong tea stems, it is difficult to pluck them with hands. So the tea pickers usually use a special tool, picker. Its top is a curved crescent knife with sharp blade. They grasp the picker handle with the blade upward and cut off leaves with movement of wrist.
The stems are strong, so we have to use this picker for cut off leaves quickly.
Fresh tea leaves will be processed after being plucked. Process of dark tea takes the longest time in all kinds of tea process. Today, the traditional process is being replaced by modern production lines in manufacturing dark tea in China. However, in Anhua, the traditional handmade process is still used to make dark tea. The first step is to air tea leaves for 2 or 3 hours to lightly dehydrate them, and then to kill green. After that, the thick and tough stems and leaves should be repeatedly rolled and rubbed, which can make the dark tea sturdy. Next, comes to the most unique and critical step in making black tea, post-fermentation. In China, some types of tea don't need fermentation. Some are fermented to a certain extent, enzymes will be inactivated. By then the quality of the tea is fixed and will not change. The post-fermentation of dark tea means that it will be fermented after killing green. The process of killing green is to restrain the enzymatic oxidation of tea polyphenols in fresh leaves, and evaporate extra water within them. How to ferment it without enzymes? It depends on external microorganisms. The process involving microorganisms is called pile fermentation, which is always prone to failure.
The leaves are probably get rotten and smelly, just like mud.
Pile fermentation is to pile wet tea leaves layer after layer in wooden box and compress them hard, which will create hot and humid environment and generate microorganisms around to participate in fermentation. This principle is the same as the fermentation of dough, yogurt and wine. The hot and humid weather in Anhua is an advantage for post-fermentation.
When they are piled together, microorganisms will join in, and then hydrothermal effects will transform the contents of tea to form a unique style of Anhua dark tea.
With microbial fermentation, tea polyphenols are reduced, and more aromatic phenolic compounds are increased, making dark tea tastes mellow, sweet and soft. After a week of piling, the color of the tea will turn black-brown. And then it will be dried and baked to shape and qualified. It comes out as raw dark tea. Next, the dark tea will be compressed into brick, cake, or put into a long bamboo basket. After 3 months or several years of continuous fermentation, they will be made into dark tea bricks, fu tea, and thousand liang tea. As the soul of dark tea, the post-fermentation is always going on quietly inside the tea, making dark tea more and more fragrant. The fragrance comes from aging, cannot be expressed in words, because it's not only with sense of smell and taste, but also with the soul.